Hello, I'm Claire Snowden, darling.
I'm Laura Knowles.
And we wanted to talk to you about why we're always talking about hormones, because so many people contact us and say, I did your symptom assessor because I've got acne, or I did your symptom assessor because I've got some digestive issues or other things. But I did the assessor and then it came up with a hormone pathway. And that doesn't really feel like me. It doesn't really feel like it's connected to my issue. So we felt it was really important to just pop this video in to tell you it's all hormones. What we mean by that?
What is a hormone?
What is a hormone?
It's a chemical messenger that happens in our body that makes our body work.
Yes.
This is, in its essence, that's what a hormone is.
And the problem is we think of hormones as just being estrogen and progesterone.
Oh no.
Oh no, the whole of our body is run off of hormones, and some we've heard of: estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, cortisol, insulin maybe, but there are literally thousands that we haven't heard of. But all of those hormones work together, and when they don't work together, they cause us to have symptoms. So, for example, if you have got acne or bad spots or skin issues or eczema, we are definitely looking at hormones, because with our triangle of hormonal health that we've explained to you before, this connection between blood sugar, stress hormones and sex hormones particularly, this interplay between these hormones, that is what's going to define us to have symptoms or not. So depending on which hormone pathway you've come out at is where you start. And that's the other really key take-home message is, you know, we can see people for a year in clinic, and this is the first step. We've got to put the foundations in place before we can build on it. So you're right, you might go, my blood sugars, I'm fine. But let me tell you that if you answered that you are having granola for breakfast, or you know, you're not eating protein at every meal, then your blood sugars aren't going to be stable. And that might not sound like an important thing, 'cause it never really sounded that important to me, to be honest. But what I now know is, without stable blood sugars, I will be anxious, I will have too much stress hormone, my bowels won't work, I will be bloated, I will be exhausted. It absolutely comes down to those hormones.
Well, let's look at the digestive system, for example. So a blood sugar hormone like ghrelin, or like we just like to call it gremlins, that sound that's made in your stomach, but it's part of blood sugars. So someone who has got digestive symptoms, we're absolutely going to be looking at blood sugars because of the partnership that happens. So the way that our digestive system works, there's so many hormones that make our digestion do its thing. So another digestive hormone, motilin, for example, makes everything move through. So we need to be looking at the hormone interplay, because the way that we see the digestion, that it can be such a victim of what's going on with the hormones. So if your blood sugars are off, then you're going to be getting digestive symptoms. And we see, let's take the immune system, for example. So histamine is a hormone. Prostaglandins, which are what create inflammation and our immune response to pain and injury, that's a hormone. So we've got to look at, and because the hormone system is our endocrine, our glandular system, and because all of these glands work together and they all have this communication, if one of them is off, it starts creating symptoms in other places, like the digestion, like the immune system, like our sex hormones, for example.
But the important thing is to start somewhere. And what is absolutely genius about our process is the stages that we go through. We work on the blood sugars. No point working on anything else until they're stable, because they will cause issues in other places. Then we work on the stress hormones. No point working on just those if your blood sugars are off, because stress hormones alone cause a blood sugar imbalance.
This is the genius of the body. The body goes, okay, I'm going to prioritize stress above fertility, which absolutely makes sense. So there's no point in looking at sex hormones until we've dealt with the stress, for example.
Yes, because when we use the word stress, the body sees a saber-toothed tiger trying to kill us. So it deals with getting away from that rather than the fertility. So once we've dealt with the stress, now we can look at the sex hormones. Once we've dealt with the sex hormones and got those a little bit more balanced, so there's not loads and loads of estrogen sitting in your bowel causing all sorts of problems. Now we can look at digestion. And once we've got digestion sorted and that gut microbiome all singing and dancing, now we can look at immune. And things like skin, for example, can actually come into digestion, they can come into hormones, they can be part of because of stress, they can be immune, they can be blood sugars. So we've got to start somewhere. So we strongly recommend that you trust this process because it is the creation after decades of us both being in clinic and so much time, love, research. And we've got so many success stories, and the people who take the plunge and do this, so, oh my gosh, this is incredible. It's illuminating from the word go. And so that's why it's all about hormones.